we have a quorum, and I call to order this meeting of the Riverdale Municipal School Board for the purpose of hearing one report pursuant to Riverdale School HVAC and miscellaneous systems modernization.
So
Mr. Kathy, do you have a report to give?
I'll take the lead and I'll start. First of all, thank you all for short notice. As you know, with this project, this has been something that the board has decided was a priority for us. We already went ahead and approved purchasing the HVAC units for this project so that we would have those on hand and be ready for those. We've just completed the bid process for this, so we want to go ahead and get it moving, get it signed so that as soon as students are out of the building, we can start that process. It is going to be a compressed timeline, which played into this bidding process, I believe. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Kathy to talk about some of the details.
Sure, thank you. The reason we needed a special call today instead of waiting until the March 19th meeting, some of the materials for the job have 12-week lead time, some of them have 16-week lead time. So with your blessing today, we're going to hustle to get the contract executed and get a pre-construction meeting set up so that the general contractor can cut loose their contracts to their subs and we can get materials ordered. It's an extremely tight timeline and compressed for the scope of work. Just to review the scope of work that's going to be being completed at Riverdale, the HVAC units this board's already approved, which we're purchasing as the owner. The installation and all associated ductwork, above ceiling, all of the pipes will be demoed out, including asbestos abatement that goes along with that, because currently that system we have in place where the boiler and chiller are carrying hot and cold water to the unit ventilators in the room, which are in turn making heat and AC. As you know, the shortcoming to that system is that on days that we get quite frequently where there are swings in temperature, hot and cold, we can't do both. It's a 2 or 3 day process to go back and forth between the boiler and the chiller. So this will be a more traditional setup with rooftop units like we have at our other schools. It also takes away the nightmare that we have that almost became a real reality where the boiler fails and we have classrooms that we cannot heat. So with that, the other scopes of work, you have to do condensate and plumbing line, a lot of new gas line piping that has to be done in order for the units to heat properly. We've got all the electrical scope work that has to be done, all of the ceiling mounted devices and the snakes above ceiling, the cabling that has to be managed and identified, and a lot of it honestly has to be just ripped out and demoed as we identify it and go along. The roofing repairs, as we put the HVAC units in, the curb cuts, curb adapters that go in, and the flashing that goes around, and the demolition, hazardous material abatement, the asbestos is a part of this project, I hit that. We're completely destroying the ceiling, so we're coming back with new ceiling tile and grid. Also new LED lights in the project. One of the surprises that we were not planning for, but as a requirement, is to put a fire sprinkler system in so that Riverdale will have it in the entire building. Code actually required that because we were renovating a certain amount of square footage in the building, so that added to the scope of the project. Also, as the unit ventilators are coming out, it's a good time to replace the windows and the glazing and the storefront glass, so we added that to the scope of work because it's a small part of the project, but it's a part that we also have our mechanical engineer recommend due to the fact that we were putting in new HVAC units for energy rating. And then you've got overhead, mobilization permits, equipment rental, etc. So that's the scope of work. The bid is $4,041,000. Wagner General Contractors was the low bidder. You saw the 4 bids that came in, the bid tabulation sheet along with that. We're actually happy to be working with Wagner because they have bid almost every job we've ever had since the beginning of the district, but they've never gotten one. They've always been high. So after a while that happens to a general contractor, they get discouraged and they don't want to bid our job. So I'm happy that they were the low bidder so that we can spread the wealth around and work with the wealth of general contractors and keep them coming to the table and bidding on our jobs. I think that covers most of it. This is probably one of the most nervous I've been about completing the project and the timeline that we have because of the massive scope of work, but it will definitely help us to operate better on a day-to-day basis at Riverdale. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
What is the asbestos contained to that area, or will they find more and we be having an additional fee
We already
Because it
did,
is an older school.
we did testing before we put the bid package out, so we identified the areas that have asbestos, and this should be it. I've seen what it looks like in person. We had to do it at Farmington, we put the windows in, they come and pretty much do, it looks like something out of a science fiction film, but they come in and actually quarantine the entire area, and box it off while the work is being performed to contain it.
What, I know it came to 4 million, just so we know, we're paying for it from the 2.5 million from the city, because they took the 500,000 for the security, and then we're taking,
Yes, so if you
where's the rest
remember,
coming from?
so if you remember the, object, we'd originally put a $3 million placeholder in this,
Mhm.
placeholder, because it hadn't gone to bid.
But we didn't have windows in that either, originally.
No windows and no fire sprinkler system, those are the two additions.
Those are additions. But it was a placeholder just to predict. It would be my recommendation to move the ADA upgrades at Dogwood to the next fiscal year to complete this project. So it pushes everything down.
So it's about 3.5 million, and then the rest will come out of just daily operations of Mr. Capps'
Yes, the
budget.
operation.
It will, and this doesn't surprise me. When we talk to general contractors, a lot of them scared off this bid because they're afraid of the timeline, like we're afraid of the timeline. And so the only way we accomplish this project is by working days, nights, and weekends through the summer, which comes at a premium cost to be able to do that.
Any other discussion?
Scanning through the actual bids and contracts from each of the bidders, there were obviously some things that were very more detailed in the different ones. Obviously, we're looking at number 3 today with the Wagner. You discussed just a minute ago the financial benefit of their proposal. Was there anything else in particular other than the fact that they're willing to really adhere to this super tight timeline that stuck out to you as a benefit?
They were the lowest and best bidder. I don't think we've ever had a situation, we can recommend that it not be the lowest bidder, that we go, but we have to have a good and legally defensible reason not to do so. You can see they're more, the list of projects that they've completed is more, they are more than qualified to do this job. They've done jobs.
No, I wasn't questioning them, I was just asking you, your
Oh,
personal
yeah.
opinion.
No, they're more than qualified and capable, and for us, the more general contractors come to the table, the better.
That's what I heard at the beginning, I thought that's very positive, because we don't want them to, we want them to keep coming back.
That's
We're
right.
gonna have a lot of
Keep coming back.
projects.
Yes.
Everybody keep bidding.
And
That's
they have did a whole bunch of our jobs, and
Like
they've
you
never
said,
gotten one.
Okay, then awarded, so.
Is there a motion? Let me get there. I move to award bid number FY 2019-0002 to Wagner General Contractors in the amount of $4,041,000 for the Riverdale School HVAC and miscellaneous systems modernization.
Second.
Ms. Supermani, it's been, motion has been made by Ms. Landers and seconded by Ms. Fisher. Will you call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Fisher? So, Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Landers?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Leet?
Yes.
Thank you.
There being no further business for this called meeting, we stand adjourned.